3 years ago, this Anusha was looking for something that did not exist. And after trying to search for it for 3 years, I decided to build it myself. But before that, if you have been following me for a while, you would know that I moved from the US to India, and I've had a lot of people asking me questions on that. I'll talk more about that in the end if you want to stick around. Right now, I'm excited to tell you what I'm building and why I'm building it. It is no secret that the job market has been absolutely brutal in 2024 and 2025. And I think it's going to be more confusing and difficult for Gen Z, millennials, and the next generation. It's just different now. I mean, if you think about it, it used to be get good grades, go to a good school, get a job, that's it. And now add AI to the mix and add the fact that entry level basically doesn't exist because you have to do the stuff that junior associates would do. It's just a lot. So what I'm building is actually for 3 types of people who I think can actually get value out of it. I'm going to tell you what those 3 buckets are, and I want you to think about which bucket you fit into. Maybe you fit into all of them, maybe you fit into 2 of them. Let me know in the comments. Now, bucket number 1 is people trying to build their personal brand from the scratch without a big company name backing them. You know, when you see these like TikTok posts or Instagram reels where people are saying, here are 5 things I did that got me into Microsoft. Here are like 10 different things I did that got me a job at Google. And then we look at these videos and think that they have great followers, great views, must be great for them. Let me just imitate whatever they're doing. But what we might miss is that they've already probably worked at these companies or they're currently working at these companies, which means they have a brand name to echo off of. But what if you don't? What if you're just starting from zero? I have talked a lot about personal branding on my marketing show, the 360-degree marketing show. But what most people don't understand is as much as upside there is to building a personal brand, there's also a huge downside that most people don't recognize. But let's say that you're a startup newbie and you don't even have a minimum viable product. But you're out here saying, I'm going to charge $5,000 per hour because I have all this knowledge in my head to validate your idea. Nobody is going to pay you that. It only works if you've built like 7 MVPs and you've had massive results from that, because people look at the results, not just the person who can talk the talk, but not walk the walk. Just like that, just because you start posting content on your desired platform every single day does not mean the right opportunities are going to come your way or your desired opportunities are going to come your way. Here's the thing. There might still be opportunities that come your way that could be beneficial to your career. It's just not going to be the dream opportunity that you're thinking about. I want to be super realistic because where you went to school, who you know, what company you've worked for, it still really matters, and that bias is still out there. So I just don't want you to think that building in public or like documenting your entire process is like the magic solution for everyone. So if you're trying to build your personal brand from scratch, but you're competing with the peers with better chances of traction, or even like senior people with better experiences, this is for you. Bucket number 2, people who are building something like a side project, startup, whatever, and they feel completely alone in it. In this bucket, there are 2 kinds of problems: the build, the talk. The build. When I started building this, I wanted to find people who were doing something similar, building in the same space. And it was really difficult for me to narrow like this one creator or one person that was kind of adjacent doing what I was doing or kind of in the same space as I am. Or someone I could just look at and be like, I can relate to the way that this person's building something. So if you're someone who's actually building things, but you don't have a community of people or even like one person that you could discuss these things with, would understand you as a person, who understands the problem you're trying to solve, or basically just being there for you, what do you usually end up doing? You go to your friends, right? But I personally have this belief that 98% of my friends are just too nice to me because they don't want to hurt my feelings. And to be honest, they're not people who are building stuff either. So they probably wouldn't understand a lot of what I'm talking about. They would just tell me, why do you stress so much? Just go get some sleep, get a job, and then problem solved. Same way, I wouldn't understand what they're going through either. And I've always like looked for someone who could like outright tell me, the stuff you're building, the users are going to hate it. That's the build. The builder who doesn't have a community of people that can help or kind of inspire or just kind of collaborate. The next kind I like to call is the talk. I've been taking on marketing clients like contract work, and I've learned even with AI's presence so just in your face, people are still afraid to ask questions and talk about the things that they don't know. The fear of what if I ask this and look like a dumb person is real. There's no safe space where people can go ask the questions that are on their mind without the fear of being judged or having to be anonymous. So if you're someone who's willing to put in the work, who wants real feedback, who wants to find people who are serious about building, this is for you. Bucket number 3. People who don't care about building a personal brand and they just want a job. I was doing this research and asking people questions, and one of those questions were about personal branding. And most of them said that I don't want to build a personal brand. I don't want to be an influencer. They just want a recruiter to look at their application and say, hey, here's what we think. We're moving forward or we're not. And I think the current recruiting process is a lot different than what most people want it to be or how they would prefer it to be. Quite frankly, even like what I've seen it to be. And I do definitely have a lot of thoughts on this, and I would love to make another video on that if you're interested in that. But for this bucket, here's a gist of what's on my mind. When I was in school, we had this concept of step marks, which is like step grades. In a math exam, if you got the final answer wrong, you would lose all points. Only where I came from, you can go ask for a step mark, which is step grade, which is if you show your work step by step, you could go and possibly ask for partial credit. I think recruiting should work something like that, not like giving you a grade or some points. I'll talk more about that in another video. Think about how the concept of entry level is kind of disappearing because of AI, and how exactly are you supposed to stand out? I'm thinking something like, show me your thought process. Show me how you would solve this problem. Let me see how you would think. And if you think about it, that is how most recruiting works. They give you like a simulated situation and ask you to solve it. But the problem here is, how do you even get to that interview stage? Now it is just resume, cover letter, portfolio in, no feedback out, and just generic rejections. There's no way for you to even know if you were close to making it to the interview or not. From personal experience, I've only ever had 1 or 2 rejections that have given me detailed feedback. And as someone who's thought a lot about the system, I think there's a lot that could be different for companies and for candidates. Now that I've broken down all the 3 buckets together, first of all, I'm curious to know which of these buckets you belong to. All of these problems come down to one thing. There is no space where you feel safe asking questions, getting real feedback, and being visible without performing. And that is what I'm building. In the next video, I'm going to tell you what I'm planning to call the platform, what the steps are, what I'm about to do, and how you can join and become the unofficial board of directors, which is nothing but just 100 plus people that are going to join and help shape the product. But for now, I'm curious, which of these 3 buckets do you belong to? And if you're like me and you're like, don't try to box me in, you can say all 3 too. I also mentioned that I did a research in between. If you want to be a part of that research, the link to that is in the description. Go ahead and fill it. Follow me on Instagram, where I'm documenting this entire journey into the Misfit experiments. And about moving back to India, you should check out this pinned post from my Instagram to know more. Help me build this one, and I'll see you in the next one.